Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hello, everyone. So today we are planning to discuss about the Anypoint Studio and as well as on the few basics of the few basics on the web services that are there. Okay. So before we start, I would like to share the agenda that we had for today. I will, uh, I will share it over here. Yeah. Let me know if this is visible. What we are planning to discuss on
Visible.
today's agenda. Yeah, visible. Okay. So I have what we are planning today is we are going to have a discussion on what is the overview of any fund studio. Okay, and the web services. Basically, we have REST and SOAP web services. So we will have a small discussion about that also. Before we get into the actual development, before we get into what the flow, how we are going to develop the flow, I believe where we are working and the studio where we are working and how it has to be used. So these basics knowledge is very much required, efficient. It makes us efficient enough to start using the studio in a very optimized way. So once you download the studio, you will have this symbol. It will be there in the folder where you have installed. Uh, I might have downloaded it long back. Okay, so this I downloaded some long time back. So I may not have the latest version. So if you download it now, it will be a latest version. So I have 7.1.1, 7.11. Okay. So once we open this, this is the launcher. So in the launcher, it says the workspace. So right now, what we will do, we'll try to give a name for a workspace. This workspace is nothing but where all our Mule projects are going to get created and stored over there. Okay. So I've given a name as a training workspace. So this is the place, the physical place where all our projects will get saved once we start working on it. I'm launching it. Okay. Okay, this is the studio. So let me change the theme. Let's make it like, is it visible right now better?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Okay, so what will this the pop-up that comes? It says what is the new that has come up with the studio. It supports the Mule runtime engine 4.4. What is this runtime engine and what is this data with what is flow, subflow? All this will over a period we'll learn this in the session. So I'm just doing this uncheck and continue to studio. Okay. So now once you are on the studio, we have actually two different views. Okay. So this is the view where we do the development, and when we go into the debugging, the view automatically changes, which is actually the configured by these views are given by Mulesoft. Okay. So right now we'll speak about the first view that what we are seeing right now for the development. So here you can see what you see on the left side. This is called Package Explorer. So any project that you are going to create, so that is all going to come and reside over here. That we will see it. We'll try to create a project and we'll try to see how does it look and what is each folder structure tells about and how important are each structure of them. Okay, and the center panel that you are seeing this is called as a canvas. Okay, so any configuration.xml that you create here during the development, so that would be coming over here. And this mule palette is a palette where you actually try to you will get the list of all the connectors and modules over here. Okay, so before these are all empty right now. I'm showcasing all this because right now it is an empty. If I start a single project, it will all get covered with some other components. So I will showcase you that. So here there is something called problems here. So when you debug a program and when you debug a flow, if there are any problems that get over listed over here, and this is the console, all your logs and debugging, everything, the logs gets printed over here. So this will help us for a reference for a day during the deployment and debugging. Okay. So here now, let's try to create a new Mule project. We can do it either two ways. From here, we can go to new and create a Mule project. So here we can see that we have lot many more things that we can create it. There is a file, folder, Java working set, and some packages, Mule configuration file, API specification file, and everything. So right now, we'll start with the Mule project only. So we can start from here, creating a new project or create a new Mule project here. Okay, so this is the runtime. So to run the our flow, once it is developed, it has to be run with the runtime. So it is right now the current version of Studio supports 4.4 and 4.3. So let's go with 4.4, and we'll give the project name as first Mule project. Okay, and we can click on finish. If possible, you can do it parallelly from your end. That would be more beneficial. So any doubts you get during this, we can discuss is right away. As this is the first time that we are creating in this new workspace, it will take little time. From the next time, it will not take so much of time. Also, okay, before this launches, we can see this API implementation. Oh, okay, gone. Okay. Yeah. See, now you can see that the palette is filled up with few default things, which was empty earlier. And you can see that here even the canvas has come up with the project name. Okay. And in the package explorer also you can see a Mule project now. Okay. So let's first try to understand what are these different structures of the folders that are present inside our Mule project. Okay. So here you see that there is a SRC main Mule, SRC main Java, SRC test Java, test report, test M unit, and there is something called HTTP, then JRE, then Mule server, then socket, then SRC target. So here we'll try to first understand what are these three folders. SRC main Mule and main Java and main resource. Okay. So in the all the configurations files that we are going to create, those are going to be created under the SRC only. So this is the first project. Imagine that you are working on one more XML configuration file. You create it over here. Okay, so this can be, you can write it as a second, second POC .xml. Okay, so as many as number of the configuration files you create. So this comes under the main. And this main under Java. So imagine we are using any of the connector here to do a basically we are doing integration here. So integration means nothing but it is an we integrate between the two systems, transfer the data information from one system to another system. So the current existing connectors are not helping us to do this job. So in that case, what do? We go ahead by writing our own customized connectors, or might be there is some logic that has to apply. For that, we write our own Java code. So if those are very minimal. Okay, I till now I haven't seen much places. Only one or two places I have seen the people are writing Java code. That too, when they migrated from 3.x, but I haven't seen much anywhere people are writing 4.x Java code. So if we write over there, so those code will be placed under the SRC. Okay. And what is the resources? So there are two basic things. First, as soon as you open this, you'll see this. One is log4j2.xml. This is very much important for the logger that is that has come with the studio. Okay, so this log4j also can be customized to do additional things. So that we will see it in the future sessions. So right now, this log4j is nothing but will help us to put the logger, this logger. So in the studio. Okay, and this API, you guys might be aware in the earlier sessions, API is the RAML, whatever the RAML that we are going to write, basically our API specifications before even creating the project. So those APIs, all those will come and get recited over here. Okay, so all your API specification comes and resides under this inside the main resources API. And you may also have, when you write an API, you give some examples. So you give a response example, so you give some request example. So all those packages can be created and will be created over here. So any question till these three things? Yes, that's the main Mule, Java, and resource. Are we clear here? Question here. Am I audible?
Yes, bhai.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So till here clear now. These are main things.
Yeah.
Yeah. SRC main Mule, main Java, and main resource. Main Mule, all our configuration XML will come under this main Mule. Java, if we write any customized Java code, then in that case it will be placed under the main Java. And resource is where your API, all the related things and all come and will be placed under this main. Okay. So next is a test.java. So the Java code that you have written here, if you want to do a testing for that J unit part, we actually place it under the test. So if there is no Java code, this also we are not going to use it. Okay. Similarly for this API.
Still some disturbance is coming.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So from that time, my voice was audible or it was not clear?
Starting it was fine, but
Okay. Same for you also, Rakesh. Network problem, huh? Not very sure. Okay. Let me see. Okay, so similarly, whatever we have done here for the so though if for that any real testing related things that we come and place it here under the SRC test result. And this is the M unit. This is a framework that is given to do for all the flows that we can do. This we can discuss it at the end. But all the M units that we are going to use it will be placed over here. And the resources that get used, usually we keep it under the test. So in the M unit, what do we do? If we have configured a flow, so we try to mock those flows and test it by putting few of the request and responses for that. So those samples, examples that we have for will be placed under the, and we can write the M units and all those get listed. Okay. The next one is HTTP. You can see that in the favorites, these are all called as favorites. These are all favorite modules. Okay. So which has come by default. So in these favorite modules on the left side, right side, whatever you are seeing, these are all our connectors. Okay. So here for an example, in the HTTP, you can see there are around 4 connectors. So whatever module that you are adding here, that modules comes and get listed here. So you can see here HTTP and socket is getting listed here. Okay. So for example, if I want to add or perform any action on the database, then what I will do, I will add add modules here. Okay, then I will add I will click on add module, search for database. Okay, then I will drag and drop here. Okay, so now you can see the database came. So all the modules that you get add here, that will be automatically added to the project. Okay, so once we add the project database here, module here, you can see all these connectors are available for usage now. Okay, I hope this is clear now. What is the use of the palette? Palette has, this is one more important of module part, and these are the connectors. So what are the favorite modules and all that is getting listed over here? So that as soon as we include it in the our studio, you can see that that gets included in the project also. And the right side, what you see, these are all the connectors, and all these connectors, once the module is added, will be available for the use. Okay. So the next one is SRC. So all this code base is actually placed into the SRC. Everything will be placed over here. And target is once we deploy the project, once after deploy, it will generate the jar. So those jars are present under the target folder. So this jar can be used to actually even move projects from one system to another system. And this is a Maven-based project, so you have a form. We can get into deeper of form.xml, but for the time being, you can see that this is how the form.xml looks. And Maven, depending on the Maven plugin version, you can add here. And rest of the components that are used are added as a dependencies here. So all these dependencies, DB connectors, Anypoint exchange, Mule connectors, socket connectors, what HTTP connectors. So whatever we added here, so those dependencies are automatically added. So in the future, if you want to add any module or something, we can add it in the form.xml only as a dependency. And when we actually move the project from one based on that, so it will this form.xml will take care about the modules that are added. Okay. And I think this user is nothing but the runtime 4.4 version which we selected there. So we don't want any additional runtime server or any server to run our project. So in by default, the studio provides us this which is a 4.4 version. So this we can use it for deploying all our project or running and deploying our. Okay. So this is just brief about the folder structure that we have. This is very important when we write a little theory. Okay, but understanding what each folder does is very important because our project when we start working, you will get to know why these all these modules are getting added, and when you have to do a testing, where you have to add. When you're adding something new, where you have to add those. If there is a resource or any request or a response that you have to add examples where you have to add. So understanding this folder structure is important. Okay. So these are all related to MU8 and all. When we discuss about MU8, right now we understood what is a package explorer, and this is our canvas and the Mule palette. So this Mule palette will by default help you to add the modules and the connectors over here. We have a console where we deploy or do anything. So once those logs will get printed and the problems here. Okay. So now one interesting part about this canvas, right? Here you can see there are three kind of tabs. Okay. So the first one is message flow, the second one is global elements, and the third one is configuration XML. Okay. So if you see in the message flow, this is all blank, and if you click on configuration XML, so you have already some lines of XML tags being placed here. Okay. So what happens is any action or any flows or any component that you bring in over here, the example we'll try to put the log. Okay. So at this point, we will just try to understand that we have added a logger. Maybe I will add one listener as well. Uh, just a moment, just a moment. Sorry about that. Okay. So here, if you see the listener, okay, we have added the sample as an example. You can see that automatically a flow got created. Okay. So what is this listener and how this configuration and all that we'll see it later. But for our right now, the understanding, we just dragged a component and brought it over here. and this is our message flow. Once we brought in here, it has created a flow by itself, and you can see in the configuration as XML, it has created that flow here. This is the one. So what is it saying? It is saying there is a flow name for this, and HTTP listener that is been added, and a logger is added, the doc name logger. All these doc IDs are unique. This has its own significance. Over a period, we will understand that. But all these are unique, which is generated by Mule itself. Okay. So as soon as you add something, you can see that we can come and see that it has been updated for the configuration.xml. Okay, in the configuration XML. So sometimes we have how do we do is we actually, if there is a small backend changes that I have to do, maybe a set of components like loggers or any configuration that I have already done, I want to reuse it. Sometimes what I do in multiple ways, I copy those things from here. I copy these XMLs and I again paste it where I want, and it will, rather than going and creating the complete flow again, this copy and paste will help me to do that at the faster pace. Okay, and this global elements is we can see that there is a listener here, and this listener needs this component needs a configuration, basically connector configuration. So this connector configuration, when you create, I will just click on OK. We'll see the configuration later. Create, that's get created in the global elements. Okay. So what happens in actual project? We keep one configuration XML for only for global configurations. Why is that so? When we when imagine this is the HTTP listener. This for example, this is on the 8081 and the local host. So the same example, the same configuration or same port, IP and port, we want to use it for multiple actions, okay, but by different persons. So what do we do? If we start creating our own configuration, it will have multiple configuration in each configuration file. So we do it in a common configuration file, and anything that you do it, all the configurations that get listed under the global elements. Okay. So for now, let's understand that this is something that is created for global access for all the users, any developer that is working over here. Okay. So yeah, I'm almost, let me check if I have covered the things that I wanted to. Canvas is done, Pallete is done, project explosion, error is done, console, development and debugging view. Yeah, this also I mentioned. So this is the development view. Maybe when we create a small project and try to debug, we'll see how the debugger view looks like. So this is the development view that we have. Okay, Mulesoft Debugger, configuration XML, Mule flow and global elements, then project structure, done. Yeah, I'm actually done with this part of the agenda. So any questions that you have right now till whatever we discussed, any questions on anything that we till discuss is fine.
Hey, hi Ullas, I joined. This is Abhay.
Hi, Abhay. Okay, so we'll go with the next agenda of discussion. Okay, so Abhay, we completed this part. Maybe you can go through the video, so it will have some info on this. Okay, so let's try to understand now. So in the next session, what I'm planning to actually create a flow and start discussing on that. So before that, I want we to understand few of the basic things before we start actually going and configuring the flow. Okay. So they basically we are, as I used to mention, that we are creating the APIs here. Okay. So basically a web service, which is a program which will help us to transfer the data from one system to another system. So as we know that we have two different some known protocols are REST APIs and SOAP API. I haven't worked much on the SOAP till now. I have not seen much. So most of the APIs that we create are the REST APIs only. Okay. So that is before we actually see that what is a REST API, let's try to understand how it is defined. Okay. So once the REST API is created, we create a listener like this and we add some flows and all. So how do we actually see that what exactly that URL, how, where we have to hit it, how, what is the configurations or the headers that we have to send it to access to this listener. So when we talk about the URL, there are few basic things that we have to understand. Hope my screen notepad is visible. Okay. So the URL that we use is composed of, first will be protocol. Okay. Then we have IP. Okay. We have port, and there is a basic path. Okay. And there is a subpath. We have only 10 minutes left. Subpath. This is how any of the URL looks like. Okay. There is a protocol. We have an IP, we have a port, and then the basic path, then the subpath. For our current example, what we'll do, and there is also something called here method. Okay, we'll discuss about method later. First, we'll understand this URL part. Okay, the protocols that we have here is, it can be HTTP or HTTPS. Okay, so we have seen the URLs where it can be HTTP or HTTPS. Okay, so for example, if I'm taking the same example, this one, because I'm going to deploy it locally. So either it can be a local host or 0.0.0.0. I'm taking this example. Okay, and the HTTP protocol is by default is on the port 8081. And we'll keep the basic path as a training or we can do on the student table. Okay, student. So when you do a configuration, this HTTP configuration. So this HTTP configuration, if you see, these are the things that you actually give here. First one is protocol. So either you can give it HTTP or HTTPS. So that is the first part of our URL. Then is your host. Host right now for this, we are doing it as a local host or this, or else in actual project, the host will be different. Depending on the project, they give the host, and those hosts we actually configure it. And next one is port. For 8081 is the default port for HTTP. That is what been placed over here. Okay. So, and there is something called base path. Okay. Now in the base path, I have given some student. If I give it as a student and save it. Okay. So now if you see, there was a red path here with a red mark, which is gone. Now this has been properly configured. Okay, so this has now a protocol, IP, port, and basic path. Now we have to give a subpath. Imagine you want to get the list of all the students. So there we have already given the student. We will create this endpoint as this resource as list. Okay, so this will be list. Okay. So the next thing is we created a listener now. This listener is using a connector configuration. It has been connected. Okay. So this connector configuration is configured with IP, port, and a protocol along with the base path. You may have a base path, you may not have a base path. So here for our learning purpose, we have kept it as base path. Okay. And here then that comes is list. Okay. So this is my subpath. What is the use of this is, now this is your first project. Imagine you want to create one more listener for a different resource type. So here now what did we do? We did the listing of the students here. So if we want to do a delete of a student, okay. Here you can see your protocol, IP, port, and base path is same. Only your subpath is changing. So in that case, what happens? I have used this. I created this now. I have selected the same configuration. So all this part remains same. Only when my resource type, I will change the resource type to delete. Okay, see the error is gone now. Now there is one more important thing. Okay, along with this path, we have to give the method. So when you are getting the list of the students, we prefer giving get method. When you are trying to delete a record, we'll prefer giving it delete method. Okay, even if you replace this, nothing is going to happen. But this giving the proper one actually adds the more meaning to that. So where we are going to do that, we'll click on the listener. We have done all this configuration. We'll click on advanced here. In the advanced, there is allowed methods. So my first one is where we have given what is the that we have given here in the first one. This is my list. So I will change this project name, okay, to list students flow. Okay, so here I go to listener advanced. Here my method is get. Okay, similarly for the second project, we'll write it as a delete student flow. Okay, so where again we will give the method here. We'll go to advanced and we'll write delete. I hope this is clear now. We have understood. We have actually around 5 methods that we use: get, post, put, patch, and delete. Get, as you say, it is to get the retrieve the information. Post is when you want to post something. So, example, you are going to create a new entry in the student table. You will post it. Okay. So, and delete is when you want to delete an entry from the student table. You use it. Get is when you want to retrieve an information from the student database. You will use get. And put and patch is if you want to update some part of the information, then you go with a patch. And put will actually try to replace that or create a new record. So when you want to either replace the entire record or create a new record, you go ahead with put. And if there is a small update that you have to you want to do action on the database or your student database, so we will use with the patch. A student is what I am telling is just an example. It can be anything. For our understanding, easy access, I am trying to connect with that. So in actual scenario, what happens is here you can see that we have the IP and we have the port here. So this IP and port are not like this actually exposed to the outside world. This is covered with the domain name. So example, an example I can give here is HTTP colon. Okay, we can give that Mule API cloud hub dot UI. Okay, like this it can be student slash list. This is how it will look like. So we don't expose the IP and port to the outside world. So the most of the things are getting actually will be under the domain name. Okay, and it can be HTTP or it can be HTTPS also. Okay, so this is one more point I wanted to say. So we covered this, and this. Okay, there's one more important thing is request header and request body, response header and response body. I doubt if we can cover that within today only. Okay, but to keep it very short, within the next 1 minute I have, request header is the information that I'm going to send it to this URL. Okay, when I have a limited small amount of information, I send it through header. And when I want to send more information, I send it in the request body. So when we open the Postman here, you can see Postman. Postman is a tool that we use to test API. Okay. So I will just show you how what is the request header and request body here. Okay, if we take some example here, see here we have a header. So we have there can be many information that is going as in a header. Okay, and if the information is a little more, then we usually send it in the body, either in our JSON or XML format. Okay, so the information that goes when we are doing the next first project, we'll get into the details of this. For a time being, we'll just understand that the information that very minimal information that we send it in the header, or it can be parameter also. And if we have a larger amount of information to be sent in the request, we'll go through it with the raw and JSON. Okay. Similarly, when we send this request, we get a response back also. So that response also has a header and body of its own, and its response has its own significance. I think we are done with the time. This we will see it in the next session. Okay. Thank you.